Hello, welcome in. Mr. Fox has returned. I'm back. I'm back after a long, long hiatus, and I come to you in a place of complete me. I am me, and I'm coming to you as myself, and I can say that after this almost year long hiatus away from this channel. When I first started this channel, I didn't really know exactly what to expect or what I was doing, what I was focusing on, and where I was going with it. And after about a year or so of contemplation, of reflection, of dealing with certain things that I think that I had to deal with in my own life, um, it's led me back here to try again, to try in a different way, in a newer way, in a way in which I'm going to kind of let the chips fall where they may. Um, I'm not trying to control this anymore. I'm not trying to make it look or sound or even feel a certain way. Um, I want to make this channel whatever it wants to be, and I'm going to let it and allow it to become whatever it needs or it wants to be. And I've come to realize that that is, mostly outside of my control. Um, Now I'm going to try to make this something worthwhile, and maybe in the process, all of y'all take something away from this, and maybe it adds value to your life, or there's something you might hear, or something that might be said that might resonate with you. It might land a certain way, and hopefully that is the case. I do want that, but I think for this channel to have any sort of success means I have to kind of get out of my own way. And I really have to get out of the channel's way. Um, and so to be back, to be in front of you, is really admitting that, I wasn't ready the first go around. I wasn't ready to be what I think and what I feel I need to be. And now, as I talk to you, I feel I'm ready. I feel I'm in that place. I'm just going to be me, and I'm going to let things sort of come and go as they do. So, um, where I left off last time, I think one of the last videos I made and actually published, I was not in a very good place. I have been wrestling with some things in my own life and coming to terms with a lot of things with myself. And sometimes when we're wrestling with things and we're dealing with things in our own lives, we need to do nothing other than just sit and to just be and to just sort of allow ourselves to be where we're at. And for us to try to do something, especially something that might be outside of our comfort zone, or something that is not, something that we're familiar with, or that we know really well, or that we're maybe even confident in. It's asking a lot, and it's asking a lot for us to be what we need to be, or who we need to be, and to give our best selves to others when we're not ourselves in a right place. And I wasn't in a good place the last time I tried to make a video. I was highly emotional. I have been dealing with something, and, you know, I'm still wrestling with that. I'm still dealing with that thing. Um, but I do think there has been progress that's been made in a lot of ways with it. And the amount of growth that I've experienced in the last almost year or so since my last video has been pretty tremendous. In fact, it's been staggering in a lot of ways. The thing about learning and growth and, that really sacred transformation that takes place is that once you start that, things just keep coming to you and you keep getting revisited by different things and things show up, and it takes time. It takes the willingness to pause and to sit and to stay still and to recognize where you're at and what you need. And sometimes you just need to not do anything and just to allow yourself to feel where you're at. And I think that's what I've done for myself. Um, it's involved me accepting the fact, and I've known this forever, right? And, there's a big difference with knowing something and really knowing something. Um, you know, where words are actually life, where words are now action, where philosophy now meets the road kind of deal. And so something that has come to me or has really surfaced with me is this idea that control um, is mostly an illusion. It's mostly something that we don't have as much of it as we think we do. I'm not saying we don't have some free will. I think we do. I'm not saying we don't have some author, over our choices, our actions, our behaviors, things like that. I think certainly we do. But I think when it comes to situations and circumstances and different happenings in life, we don't have as much control as we think we do. And so something that I've really had to wrestle with is dealing with the idea like that I have to let go. Like, as badly as I want things to be finished and to have some sort of grand opening, or, being able to traverse and transcend where I'm at and to be in that place where I envision myself being, that involves letting go. And letting go is, well, it's essential life. I mean, there's that old sort of Zen koan, Zen saying about let go or be dragged, you know? And what life teaches you, among many other things, is that the more you hold on to something that's either not for you or its time has passed, you know, you continue to hold on. And that can be a relationship, that can be a career, that can be pretty much anything, really. The more you hold on to it, the more you're beat up and cut up by it, and the more bumps that you're going to take by it, the more probably agonizing sorts of hardships are going to arise because of your unwillingness to sort of embrace what is. And to embrace what is, we have to relinquish control. We have to relinquish the idea like that we can have everything that we want to have and we know what's going to happen always and constantly and all around us. And so the journey I've been on the last year or so has been one about acceptance and letting go and just acknowledging, um, and getting right with myself, which means identifying a lots of parts and pieces of who I am and who I've been, and really getting into the deeper sides of myself that I have tried to steer clear of and tried to push aside and numb myself and distract myself and really just essentially run away from. Um, I'm a master or have been a master of running away. And I guess I am becoming a master of learning or being still. Um, which, by the way, I think it needs to be said, if it hasn't already, that learning how to sit with yourself and to just be with yourself is not for the faint of heart. And when you do that, it allows a lot of things to come to the surface that otherwise couldn't, or you were too busy, or too distracted, or too whatever, any number of things to really acknowledge and be with. Um, when we slow down, when we take time, when we pause, when we're in solitude, things catch up to us. We catch up with ourselves mostly and predominantly. And I think that's why so many of us um, go to great lengths to busy ourselves or to drown ourselves out or to drug ourselves out or whatever it might be. We do so much to avoid ourselves, which obviously, or maybe not so obviously, um, and anybody that has been here or has experienced this knows this, that the longer that we prolong the stuff that's in our background, the longer that we keep the skeletons in the closet, the louder they get, the more noisier they get, the more they leak into our everyday lives. And what we keep in the dark, as it's been said many and many a times in many a ways, the more we keep stuff in the dark, the more it seeps or leaks into the light. And long story short, that creates havoc. So the more that we kick the bucket down the road with what's going on within us and what we're not ready to acknowledge, or the more that we run away from things, the more things show up, the more things come out, the more things come out in probably much more uglier, messier, more disastrous ways than they probably otherwise would have. We go to great lengths to avoid ourselves, and that can take on many different faces. And I think, to point back to myself here for a moment, I was doing that, or I have done that throughout my life. And I think there were things even a year or so ago, or whatever the last time I made a video on this channel was, I think that I was wrestling with some things that I needed to sit more with. I needed to let those things bake a little bit more. And I needed to, take a moment, and many moments really, and just introspect and reflect and be with myself and feel what I needed to feel with all that stuff. Um, it was interesting when I made videos previously, there were moments when I was talking where I could feel things bubbling up within me, you know? And I thought to myself, I'm making a video. I'm trying out this YouTube thing. I'm making a video. I'm making these videos. And I started it with the idea that I was going to share and talk about interesting ideas, things that I thought were interesting, anyways, and hopefully try to connect, hopefully try to relate to many people. Because I think, my goal was I'm a person that really enjoys ideas and philosophies and kind of abstract thoughts and deep thoughts and all those kinds of things. And The idea was is I was going to try to make a channel that conveyed those things in a very interesting, thoughtful, exhilarating way that would gain a following, gain a background, and hopefully catch on, right? And what happened was in the process of making these videos, I could not help but noticing that things were starting to kind of come to the surface with me as I was making and creating those videos. There were things that I, I began talking about certain ideas, and as I was making and creating the videos, certain emotions would arise, certain thoughts would come to me. And when I say that, I mean they punched me in the gut. They slapped me across the face. And it's interesting that when we start talking maybe from more of a rational, sort of logical, intellectual mind, how sometimes, even though we don't mean to go there, we go there, or things start arising within us that pour out. And I don't regret the things that may have may have arisen in those videos, or some of the things that I allowed to surface. Um, I actually think that's one of the bright spots of my first go around with this YouTube thing. But I think during that time, I think it was almost too close, and too close to home, too close to heart, and there were things that I hadn't um, sort of gotten into yet with myself that I think right now might be a better time. And in a total moment of vulnerability and honesty here, I I'm still wrestling, but I feel like I've it's a little bit more of an even match with myself. I feel like I'm a little more grounded. I feel like I'm a little more aware. And like I said, I'm letting go of certain aspects of what I want this to be, what I want this channel to be, what I want this channel to look like. Um, I'm just going to do this from the grassroots, and um, if it becomes something like something substantial, then so be it. And if it doesn't, and it's just sort of another YouTube channel per se, then so be it. I'm okay with that. I am going into this with a whole new way, and I'm letting go and I'm allowing, and I'm going to have fun with this. And it may or may not, be something that people like or enjoy or into, and that's okay. Um, but hopefully there are some people that do enjoy it, and that's just me saying in so many words that I want this to be something authentic, something real, and something that I can connect not only with others with, but even more with myself. And so, um, thank you for still being here and taking this journey with me. I'm excited to see where this goes, and it's going to be a good time. And thank you for being here. And I'm Mr. Fox, and welcome back to the counselor. Be well.